From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain, it's the heart of a villain. Hey yo, heart of a villain beats hard in the centrifuge. Bearded BP 100 interviews. All it takes is 2 mics and 1 line. This is Bearded Villains podcast worldwide. Driving cross countries, getting ball tires. Fam across ponds, always inspired. Chapters connect, and then it's on fire. Check your phone, cause BV is like a live wire. They said that we couldn't do it and that another could. Never underestimate the power of brotherhood. Every bro, every chapter, every caption. Heart of a villain, bro, lights, camera, action. Action, action, action. Let's go. BP. From the start to the finish, go hard and we winning. It's the heart of a villain.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Thursday night edition of The Heart of a Villain. This is going to be fun tonight. This is going to be a fun one. This episode 170. Well, let's start off. Today is the 9th of March. The 9th of March. Feels like I should be able to say something more important about that date, but no, I don't know. It's the 9th. It's the 9th. And we're here for episode 170. Hey, what this means, what episode 170 is going to be, it's part of a 2-part episode arc, I guess is what we're gonna call it maybe. And the purpose behind this was I wanted to explore a couple of different things. First, I wanted to kind of take a look back and ask ourselves, as you know, old BP sometimes likes to get a little deep thinky. And there's other people out there that have much better minds than mine. And I, not to say that I have any of them with me tonight, but I found some people that are kind of close. And we're going to be discussing a topic that has kind of come up in a roundabout sort of way in a variety of different topics, both just in general conversations with myself and different conversations my 2 guests tonight are going to have had while they're at various other events. And then also in chat rooms, these things have come up too. So we're kind of asking the question, why do we fail? Why do we fail to meet our expectations as men, as villains? Why do we fail to meet our expectations that we have set in place for our chapters? And answering some of those questions, I think, and doing kind of a deep dive into that and being honest with ourselves, I think can really do a lot towards being able to create a positive movement forward with our chapters and with BV as a whole. And I say that because next week's episode, I'm going to be talking about positivity and how to adapt changes, how to figure out ways that your chapter and you as a villain can do more, be more proactive and be more positive in your communities and everything. And next week's guest, gotta tell you, you're going to want to be around for it. I'm just going to tease it for right now. But tonight, I have 2 of our brothers who have a wide-ranging variety of experiences in BV. Both of them are international brothers, and I say international, but different. They're different aspects of that. One lives internationally, and one travels a boatload internationally for BV. I'm talking about our brother up in Canada, Marz, who's a frequent guest of the show, and another frequent guest of the show, Mr. Radar, from the New York, New Jersey, the Lucky 13. He is here with us as well tonight. Marz, of course, from Lakeshore, up in Canada, eh? We're going to be talking and taking a deep dive into this little bit of this conversation. So get your popcorn ready, get your snack pack, get your drinks, whatever you got going on. And I am hoping that some of the conversations that we have here tonight will challenge you. And by all means, if you are here live with us tonight, get in the comments section and spread your word, speak your mind about whatever it is that we're talking about. See if some of this stuff hits home with you. And if you've got something to add to it, obviously we'll share it and bring it up on the conversation here with us. So, real quick, I'm going to see if this worked just fine for me, bringing them both in.
Spread your word. Give your mind.
Hey, somebody's got their audio turned up. You got to turn that down.
See if some of this stuff is
Listening to it early. See, you get that 30-second delay in there.
To add to it, obviously, we'll
There
share
it is.
on
Nope, still can hear it.
conversation here with us.
Still can hear it.
So, real quick,
Still can hear it. There it is. Guys, hey, everybody, welcome. Marz and Radar. How you guys doing tonight?
What's up?
Yo.
So, guys, I first off, thank you guys so much for being here and hanging out with me tonight. This is one of these. I've had really long, deep conversations with both of you guys about chapters, about BV, and I really respect the opinions that you guys have, the experiences that you guys have had, so I think that you guys could both add something to this conversation. And we've had a little bit of dialogue this evening off air, about kind of where we would like to take this and some topics that we would kind of both like to cover. But if we can, real quick, can you talk for a second? I know we in order to kind of cover this as this huge amalgamation of issue, I think one of the first things that we might want to start with was the prospect of scouting. And Marz, I think you started off in a conversation we had earlier today about that and the importance of that.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. I mean, I just, in the brief time of history that I've been with this organization and what I've been able to see, what I've been exposed to, everything seems to really come back to me on the scouting process, on how the journey of a particular villain is going to go is really about how the scouting is done and what they're exposed to, what they're told, and how they're taken through this. And when it's not done in a fashion where you're really trying to vet the quality of that person and that individual and what they're all about. So when you're asking them, point blank, why do you want to join BV? Like, is it just because of the beard? Is it because of this? And again, we all have different reasons. But I really start to believe that the scouting process, not only is it the most critical step, but it seems to be in a lot of cases where we're starting to see other aspects of brothers not making it all the way through or getting sidetracked for different reasons, is that the scouting process is not working out, or it's falling apart somewhere where I just need to get another notch in my belt so that I can get my scouting patch and then maybe go for elite. And again, those are all the wrong reasons to do it. And so that was my comment, was how critical I think scouting is in everybody's journey.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say right now, because we're just starting out, feel free to jump in with each other and bounce ideas. I've got buttons here so I can switch cameras and everything like that as we go. So if you want to speak, just pipe in there, Radar.
Oh, okay. No. I was just, letting Marz talk because I saw the screen go out. But no, I definitely agree, with everything Marz is saying as far as the scouting goes. There's definitely the issues. There's definitely the problems, the hiccups. You have guys who aren't near chapters. You have guys who don't want to join chapters because they're privy to information. They know things and stuff like that. And what's written isn't always what's, practiced sometimes. And it's just like I said, back in the day, you were able to be scouted without a chapter. And now it's encouraged to be part of those are the words. You got to look, at all the words written. And it's just like, if you go by what's told, then you're going to believe that, as a new guy. You're going to go, oh, well, I got to do it this way. It's just like, no, you can, there's a way around a lot, especially, when you think back about chapters that haven't been formed, guys that are still working on chapters. It's like they all went through that process somehow. So can an individual, hopeful. But not everyone's given that opportunity, and a lot of the grunt, the legwork It just, some people don't want to put the work in for it, man. And it's just like, I'm here to help everybody. I don't give a shit where you come from, uh, where you shine. There's plenty of room on this table for all of us to eat. Why don't we make it a point to help each other no matter what? Like when I was scouting, I was always told, you scout for BV before you scout for a chapter. And now all of a sudden it's, you need a chapter to be scouted to join BV, which, let's be honest, is bullshit.
So Radar, let me ask you a question, because you're bringing this up. In your point of view, does, for example, do they need to be in the same state? Do they need to be in the same country? So if you're if you have your scout, let's say I'm a hopeful. I'm someone who wants to be, and I don't gel or I don't fit with a chapter. And I call you up and we get to talking and this and that, and you're like, hey, yeah, I'll scout you through this process. Do you think it's important for you guys to be in proximity to be able to meet up and see each other, or do you think that, let's say, borders are not an issue?
So I definitely, I can speak on both. I think it's important that you are in the vicinity of brothers who will at least guide you, influence you, and walk you through the process, especially if they know their stuff, especially if they know the process of it all and everything. But you have guys who are friends, like, one of my best friends, joined way after I was a part of it. And he got to see like all the shit that I went through and all the steps and processes and the whole nine. And he was like, I don't know if I want to do that. Or I don't know if I want to join that side or that. Is there another chapter I could, like the thing is, like, we provide them these options from the gate. And I think we should live by that. I understand when it comes to territory and chapters and things like that. But when it's not written verbatim that you have to join your backyard chapter, why aren't the guys stepping up going, hey, let's give this guy a chance? He might shit the bed once he's in. But you can't win if you don't play. And I hate that we don't give these guys a chance. Like that's just kind of where I stand on that. I mean, I'm always trying to help somebody get in. And like I said, you got guys that are privy to chapters that they don't want to join. You got guys who can't make that commitment to join a chapter because their lives are so busy, but they would love to join BV because what it's about, how much they want to be a part of it, and how they feel the same. I'm a bearded tattooed guy who's been judged my whole life, and I would love to partake in things when I can. It shouldn't be mandatory to join a chapter or to be a part of something because that's what's encouraged. Not written. That's just how I feel.
Just to let you guys know, I'm trying to deal with, everybody saying in the comment section there's an echo. It must be the echo I still have from the last time. I'm trying to sort it out. I know it's not coming through my board, so the audio of us for the podcast platform will be fine, but I'm still trying to work on this as we keep going here. But yeah. Have you noticed, too, because I know there's been discussions in several chats, though, what happens if there's a brother who wants to join BV, is excited about what they see in BV circles, but yet they may not get along with, they may not feel comfortable with whatever it is about their most local chapter, and they're being told, if you want to join BV, that's the BV that's the one you have to join.
Yeah. We lose a lot of good guys with that mentality because they're kind of bottlenecked into being forced to join a chapter that's close by or that's one state. Granted now there's 50 million chapters. I mean, that's an exaggerated number, but before you could be in a chapter where you live hours away, and that drive was hard. Hell, I was part of one of them until they split 4 ways, 3 ways, or whatever. But I made it a point to make me travel, blah, blah, blah. But you have guys who can't do it. You have guys who can't commute. And, you have chapters who hold hopefuls and members down to 2-3 mandatory votes a year. And it's like, if it doesn't happen, it's just like, well, you're not fit for us. It's like, well, listen, it's a hardship on me. I would love to be a part of this overall organization. I understand if it doesn't work for me in a chapter, but I still want to be a part of this. But we don't give guys that chance nowadays. You know, before it was, we'll get him patched, and if he doesn't work for the chapter, then it is what it is. At least we took a brother on. Now it's like, no, if he doesn't clear it through chapter, then he's shit out of luck.
Yeah, it's a tricky one.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, that was the one of the things that we were talking about scouting that really drove me nuts, is to see that we have because let's be honest, every one of our chapters has its own identity, and we'll get into that in just a few minutes. And sometimes the chapters don't even know, the leadership in the chapters, they don't even know really what the identity of that chapter is, whether or not it's their identity or whether or not it's a perceived identity that everybody else feels that chapter has from the outside looking in. And so those are the kind of things that sometimes I think will keep people away when they're trying to, when they're trying to learn about BV, or they're trying to find their home in BV, and they're told there's only one way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another problem. Is like, we get and listen, I got love for everybody who's been in here for 5+ years, 7, 8+ prospects, the whole nine. I get the OG mentality and all that shit. But at the end of the day, we got new guys coming in with new ideas, who have new ways, new connections, new networking, new everything. We got to give these guys a chance, man. And we're stuck in this whole, well, it was always like this. This is the way we've always done it. We have to leave it like this. And that sucks sometimes. There can't be growth if you're constantly stuck in your old ways.
That's funny you say that, because it's you see this a lot with this whole like changing of the guard, the guys that have been here for a while, and it kind of reminds me of like, my grandfather always getting upset with me because he just didn't understand my generation type of mentality and stuff like that. And you get a lot of this. I remember BP touched on this last year at some point. At one thing, it was a real aggravating point, which was, hey, slow down, don't do so much. People putting brakes on guys who come in very enthusiastic, and it's like, how dare you stand in front of somebody and tell them, you need to cool it, man. You need to do what we do. And just because we're inactive means you're going to be inactive. And I'm like, it's embarrassing that just because you feel like someone's showing you up because of participation, activity, this guy's taking tons of photos, this guy's buying merch from all different types of chapters and doing this and do that. Why would we stand in front of somebody or block their path? It's their path. It's like having your own personality and DNA. Everybody has a unique way of doing things. What gives any of us the right to stand in front of anybody else and say, you can't do it this way? Why? I mean, that's the thing, is just because you came up into this, and I think this is really where the big disconnect comes in. This social club, this beer club, started off as, hey, it's cool, a bunch of guys, we get together, we get to go drink and talk like guys do, and like our own social little club about doing this and that. And then, and they liked the way that was set up, but that has evolved its way into something way more than what that originally was. And there's nothing wrong with that original concept. It's just that if they wanted it never to change, they never should have allowed it to change. It should have stayed exactly the way it was. And so it would have always been just what it was. But it has become charity. It has become other things. And so, and now you start to broaden, and your statement reads, we're not going to be prejudiced to race, religion, sexual orientation, things of that nature. And so within all of those things falls personality of one person. You can have a super energetic guy in your chapter, and they may rub you the wrong way because you're a low key kind of person and you just don't have the patience for it. But that doesn't give you the right to stand in front of somebody and just say, no, I'm not going to let you keep doing this because you're making me look bad. You know what? Maybe it's you who needs to take a step aside and say, maybe this just isn't for me anymore. And this whole, you said it, this whole OG thing, oh, I was here first, or look, I've been here long. You know what? Honestly, it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. It's about what you do today. It's not about
Yeah.
what you did 4 or 5 years ago. No one, like, yeah, you know certain people who are still around and they do the work.
Hmm.
But you know what you remember right now? The people who are doing it now,
Yeah.
because that's the way it works. And it's the most frustrating thing I've had to deal with is just watching the childish behavior of some that take it upon themselves to think that they have the right to dictate how others are going to have this journey. You're
Yeah.
here to, and here's the part that really frustrates me the most. If this was their child, they wouldn't be acting this way. They'd be encouraging them to do these things. But the second it's somebody else, and the second that you think there's a ulterior motive and all these other things, that is what pisses me off, man. For
Yeah.
your child, you do one thing. For another brother who's trying to find his way in his journey, you're gonna stand in his way, and
Mm.
you're gonna direct them off, and you're gonna make them stumble. And I think that's terrible. And it happens. It happens a
It
lot
happens a
more.
lot.
And it's terrible because I hate saying that, knowing that we're involved in a brotherhood that's supposed to all have a similar like mentality. Okay, similar, obviously,
Similar.
hence the word, because we don't all do things the exact same way. We don't all have the same motives on
Yeah.
why we're here and why we're doing it. But please don't stand here and tell me, "Oh, I'm here through and through, and I'll die for," like, no, you'll die for your own means, and you'll stick up. And I got my little party behind me and my clique
Hmm.
that hangs out and protects me. And whenever I say something, they're gonna back me up. You know what? That was great in high school, but that's
Yeah.
high school. This isn't high school anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. It's been one of those things that we've been talking about. I know in conversations that we've had for a long time, and you hear it every once in a while from other people. But it's that mentality of why what is it in that person that feels that they need to slam the door on somebody else, cut them down, and it could be a jealousy, it could be because they feel inadequate or they're not doing their own job. But one of my favorite things about BV, and I noticed this from the word jump when I first came in, every single person in when I came into BVIN, Villains Indiana, every single one of the guys in that chapter was very different, very unique, with super wide ranging backgrounds, and I thought that was so cool, and that and the idea that somebody would that it would be encouraged, and it is in some chapters. I think it's encouraged to tell those guys to wait your turn, shut up, and sit down and listen. And you've only been in here for 5 minutes. Shut up, and
Yeah.
and why not celebrate the different? There's a reason why you bring people in. There's a reason why you chose to bring this person in, and it's not. And hopefully, it's not just because of the number, but
Yeah.
why would you tamp that down? That energy and that desire to want to share that part of them. It amazes me.
Yeah. And it's like I said, when we talked earlier today, it was just like what I've learned in BV is, and not in BV, not something that I learned positively, because what I've seen, what I've witnessed, should I say, in BV is like, if you do too much, you're trying too hard. They'll give you shit for doing too much, but they'll also give you shit for not doing enough. But if you're coasting somewhere in there and you're safe, it's like, all right, you're not raising no flags. He's cool. He's not outshining anyone, and he's not making our chapter look bad. But you get to float. Like, that's really it. You're either a IG famous or you're a slacker. But you have to fall. You have to like fit right in between, so no one talks shit. And it's just like, but this is who I am. I'm sorry that I took this serious. I was told to take this serious, and I did it. You'll always have someone going, ho, 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 you're doing too much. Calm down, calm down, calm down. But then you always got someone else when you're slacking going, yo, 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 you got to do more. You got to do more. But don't do too much. Don't do too much. I never understood the passive aggressive love and hate shit that we were talking about earlier, and it's just like it blows my mind. It blows my mind. It's like, yo, I don't care if you got in today and you make it you become a captain of some chapter next week. I'm rooting for you, bro. I'm rooting for you. Kick ass, take all the names. You got this. I hope your journey is the shit. All right? But don't tell me I can't be me. Because with or without BV, I'm going to always be me. Before BV, I was in the army and this was me. And after BV, if this shit imploded today, I'm going to be me tomorrow. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I can't hear BP.
I can't hear you, BP.
Just because, sorry, I hit my mute while I was coughing.
Yeah.
I got so many buttons I'm trying to go through here. But one of the things that, I don't want to harp specifically on just the scouting part of it, because we got other topics to cover as well. Yeah. But one of the things that I find so funny about this is that you talk about, tamp that down, and we're talking about why do we fail, and why do we as men, as villains fail, but why did chapters fail? And all you need to do when you talk about the scouting aspect of things, and you talk about, slamming the door on somebody's energy or their desire to try and do something, look at the numbers when they put out every 2 years of how many hopefuls chapters have. The ones you can look at that and you can see, and sadly you look ahead and you're like, that chapter's not doing real well right now. That chapter's not doing real well right now. And sadly you can look at that, and then sometimes you look to the leadership and you think, I see it, because those, and I'm not here to call anybody out specifically, and I'm not asking you guys to do it either. But we know that when you see that happen, and you know which leaders are out there that are doing that are slapping the wrist of people, that don't do that stuff, then you know where the issue lies sometimes, and that's and then they turn around and wonder why our chapter is fledgling. That's part of it right there.
Yeah. And that, and I think complacency. You get comfortable, you take your foot off the gas, you forget the drive to get to that position, and to get to what you were achieving. I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting things or wanting to do something, but if you let that overshadow, I think the fact is, failure can be described in so many different ways, but I think it's when you stop fighting, when you stop, searching, and you think your journey has pinnacled, that's the beginning of the decline. Because you think you've reached the top, you can only go over to the other side at that point, and you end up dragging everybody down with you at that point, unless you have people in there that have the same leadership qualities. You don't typically see, because I'm not trying to Jennifer Kite, like everybody is the same or every chapter is the same, but typically you don't really see that, the changing of the guard is encouraged. It's a lot of places you just want to get to the top and stay there. I'm comfortable. I feel good here, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And some leaders are born leaders and others aren't. But that doesn't mean you can't teach them to be leaders, or you can't teach them to be critical or poignant in the chapter. Just because they're a bystander doesn't mean they always need to be a bystander. You can make them involved. You can tell them, hey, your voice counts in here. You came here for a reason. And when we sit idly by and just let people coast or become complacent, that's our fault. When the rest of the brothers fail, it's our fault. As leaders, it's our fault that happens. Something didn't go right. And we didn't see it, or we didn't pay attention to it, but it happened. And by the time you figure it out, it's usually you're in damage control. Someone's already like, I want out, I don't care, and you're trying to rectify at that point. So it's I hate to say it, it's a lot like marriage. A lot of times you find out when that conversation it's not, hey, things aren't going well. There were probably a lot of conversations leading up to that last conversation that you just don't remember. You don't recall it being a conversation. And our brothers in our chapters or within this organization, we need to listen to them. We need to listen to them. and make them feel important, and continue to strive to push each other forward in a good way. Don't be envious of what others do. Oh, Raider's got 15,000 followers, or this, or he's got a really cool pin, or whatever
No
it
way.
is. He's got a cool catchphrase. Why can't I have, like, man, stop being so selfish for yourselves, man. Just be thankful that you have someone like him or someone like BP that you say, hey, that guy's, that person talks to me, and I met with him, and he listened to what I was saying. We want so much all of a sudden, instead of just taking the little bit that we have and making that important. We take that for granted. I want more. It seems to be the general concept. I want more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You got to treat people like people, man. That's just how I see it, bro. And just to piggyback off of what you were saying when it comes to leadership and things like that, like I love I love captains, co-cap. I love leadership. Period. That gets re-voted into those positions, right? Because they're great at it. They hold it down. They work for their chapter. They show the love. They give back. Their hearts are in it, right? But then you got the other side of leadership who is tired, exhausted because no one wants to step up and take over, or at least put their name in the hat and goes, hey, I think I could do this. No, like you said, complacency is a big issue with this. You have guys who are in leadership positions that cannot fall back and relax because they've set the bar in their chapters, and guys are like, no, that's too much. I don't want to do this, yada yada. But then at the same time, you also have guys in leadership positions who don't do jack shit. And I'm sorry, it's the it's the truth. It's the truth, right? You have leadership positions and chapters who are just crumbling because their leadership is just absolute shit. Like, no, I'm not gonna go. It just. So what I, so just
don't
just
turn
to touch
his
on
head
that.
to make sure that his better half was like, nope, don't do it.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, no. So because
Nope, don't do it.
again, this comes down to so like as men, I'll separate this BV and men shit, right? So we
Yeah.
go. There's always someone that's getting ready to headhunt for you, cyberbullying, and saying that you said this in the public eye. But at the same time, we're men, man. Like, I should be able to say, bro, I rock with you, but you suck at this.
Yes.
But we can't do that. We're not allowed to do that. I have hired and fired friends and family at jobs, and I've been able to hang out with them afterwards solely because I could separate my job and my friendships with them. It's like, dude, I love you, but you suck at this. We should be able to say that,
Yes.
but we can't. Because what they'll do is they'll run to the board and be like, hey, this guy's bullying me. You get baited into these text conversations, right? And it's just like, there's the proof. Like, yeah, I said you suck at this. But I should be able to say that.
Yeah.
It's my opinion. There you go. It's my opinion that I think you suck at this. Could you do better?
Yeah.
Yes. Do I encourage you to try to learn how to do better? Of course. But I hate that you have guys, and you have chapters, it's just a dictatorship. There's no vote for captain and co-captain, bro. Like, that's it. It's just us. I've been a co-captain for 50 years.
Yeah.
Captain since this chapter was formed. There will not be another until I die.
You can't afford to
Let
change
it
the
go.
name on the chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like-
You have founders, co-founders, all these other. Bro, I've seen the ranks that make no sense sometimes, and I could say that. I helped start a chapter. Why would I? Why? I'm not gonna put all these. I'm not gonna put 10 ranks under my name, or titles, or associations. It's just like, yo, votes. I think votes are important. I think as like, you have chapters who do 2-year captainships, right?
Mm.
And if they get voted back in, it's because they've done a good job. Or the latter is like, no one wants to step up. But when there's no vote, that's what sucks. It's
Right.
because the leadership stays shit. It just continues to stay shit.
But
Yeah.
but see, what's funny is you can have good leaders, and then they do so much that everybody else kind of does the whole.
Yeah, you have leadership that burns
I'm
out,
just
bro.
gonna get comfortable here and let these guys lead. And you know
But there's
what?
also leadership that burns out.
That still isn't good because and BP talked about this again on one of the podcasts. Burnout. Everybody goes through it, man. Just because you're a leader doesn't mean you're not exposed or you're not prone. It's not like, dude, everybody has a kryptonite, man. Everybody does. Everybody
Yeah.
has a part of the time or a certain period of the year or something where they're like, man, I'm done. I'm exhausted.
They're burned out.
Mentally, I'm drained. And you know what happens? When you let out your foot off the gas, if you don't have a strong, it's kind of like in cycling, a peloton. It, you have the front person who's doing all the grunt work, but your leader, the guy who makes all the points, is actually coasting and drafting behind them. So you need a strong team in order to win collectively.
Oh yeah.
And so
Yeah.
when your leader comes back to rest, somebody else takes that place and says,
Yeah.
"Hey, don't worry. We're going to continue to push this forward while you rest behind until you're ready again to take forward the leadership role." And that would be the ideal scenario where you're just allowing people. You have to educate them. So I would say to what you said, I agree. There are guys who just don't have the knack or don't have the backbone in some cases. That's not the reason they came into this. But that doesn't mean that you can't show them the way.
Absolutely.
That you can't give them a level of responsibility to say, hey man, you know what? There's going to come a time where I'm going to need you to step up here, and I'm going to need you to take some level of responsibility and accountantship for stuff. And it's good to see, man. It's a difficult thing for some people, but you know what? Exposure to difficult things is what makes you a bigger and better person. When you escape from difficulty, you'll never be able to know whether or not you ever deal with adversity. You're always going to be like, well, when I found it, I went the other way. So unless you face things, and that means for our brothers and the guys, I think that's really why we have all of these sub-leadership categories, like sergeants and things. They're roles of responsibility. They're meant there to build on tools.
Well,
And then later today or tomorrow, maybe they can take on a leadership role.
Exactly. And I don't want to speak. And I'm going to just a second. And in just a second, I'm going to bring up a comment from one of our viewers. Nikki's over there typing like a fool. I love it. She had a great comment in here in the comment section. But it's one of those things that, like I said, I don't want to toot my own horn specifically, but one of the things that I made sure of when we started our new chapter in 2020 was I said, this is not going to be, because I had seen chapters, like you say, where there is no election, there is no any of that. And so we set out from day one, we're going to have elections, we're going to have annual elections. And then to evolve things a step further, and this isn't for everybody, but to evolve things a step further, last year, we made a slight change to that. And what we noticed was, because if you've been in Captain Chat, or if you've just paid attention to the different chapters that have struggled, and chapters that have come and go with different numbers, different things over the last 2 years specifically, you've noticed that there have been some chapters that have lost captain and co-captain almost simultaneously.
Yeah.
And they didn't have any other leaders that were in the building per se ready to take over. And so you're jumping in now with a brand new captain, brand new co-captain that have not led. They may have led other things in their life, and that's great. But the chapter can fail if you put them in that place. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was we made a transition just last year with our elections, where we said, because of that, we don't ever want to. It still could happen, but we don't ever want to put our chain of custody of the leadership roles into a situation where they both go bye-bye at the same time in the same election cycle. Because I think that has happened, where you have a small group of guys try to overthrow, as we would say, or something like that, and just
a mutiny,
upset the apple cart, which, hey, if it's needed, it's needed. But what we did was we alternated the years that the captain and co-captain are now elected, and they're both 2-year terms. So if I decide I've just had enough, go ahead and elect another captain. You still have a co-captain there that has had experience dealing with the specific issues that are required, the nuances that are specific to BV. And there's not many of them, but it helps glide things through and make things smoother. And so now that's what we've done just to make things easier for the future, because there is going to be a day, probably sooner than later, where I will not be a captain any longer, where my co-captain Ed will no longer be a captain. So and then we added a few other officer positions to give other guys responsibility so that they can start to see what it's like to have to organize things that we have done over the first 2 years of the chapter ourselves. And now starting to groom these guys for these things. But real quick, before I get your response on that, I want to make sure I include this in here because I loved it. And the guys in the comment section loved her comment too. Nikki said, but just like anything, the leader isn't there to do everything. It's to guide. So if your chapter isn't a well-oiled machine, it don't matter how good the leadership is if the chapter isn't behind them.
That is also true. We do have, and God, I can name a few. We do have captains, and I mean specific, just single captains who do the legwork to every damn thing involved in that chapter. And they are burnt the hell out. And I mean, they take on merch, they take on, dues, they take on just traveling, they take on, because they know that they are the only person who can make that shit happen. And as much as they ask for help, they don't get it. It's their responsibility to make it happen. And no one thinks about this. Like, no one ever asks, hey, are you okay? Hey, are you good? It's just like, oh, he got it. Oh, he's good. Like, no one ever steps up in those positions. And I've seen a few captains burnt the hell out, man. And it sucks. It sucks. It definitely sucks to see. Especially when you're close to them, it's like, dude, I wish I could help. Like, how can I help? But it's just like, oh, it's a chapter issue. It's like, you got to fall back. You just got to let it happen. And it sucks. It sucks because they're your friend at the end of the day, But I don't know, man. Like, it's just, I always sit back and think of the many positions, many titles, many ranks, many places I've been and held, many places I've traveled. And I know we talked about it earlier, and I'm getting ready to throw that shit out there, right? It is us. From Europe to the Latino countries to Canada to the States to God, where haven't I been? It is us, all right? I'm going to put that shit out there. I'm sorry if I hurt anyone's feelings. You have my number, my IG, my line, the whole nine. It is the Americans that ruin this shit for BV. And I have told VK personally, so you can tell him all you want. I've already told him personally. If it starts some shit, so what? I will say the ego here in the States is an issue. The rank throwing, that we got sergeants talking shit to hopefuls and all this stuff. No, that's bullshit. And I know that Europe has their problems. I know Canada has their problems. I know the Latino countries have their problems. But my experience from traveling so much, and I mean, not just for a weekend, because every time I go somewhere, it's for like a week or so. So I get to like really dive into the bros, the chapters, the leadership. I have the conversation, personal and intimate conversations. It's us. It's the States. And I stand by that wholeheartedly as a Latin American myself. You know what I mean? It's us. It's us. That ego and pride shit at the 50 million ranks. It's everything from when I came in, it was captain, co-captain, and scout. That's it. I understand there's sergeant, lieutenant. At the time, there was sergeant major. There was all these other ranks. There was enforcement. There was so many. But what matters in a chapter and per BV is captain, co-captain, and scout. They're the ranks that matter. They're the ranks that build and form, blah, blah, blah. I'm not discrediting anyone that holds a lieutenant or sergeant. I'm sorry if you took that wrong or personally. But you have chapters who are 20 guys deep and have 15 ranks. You have chapters that are 10 guys deep and have 8 ranks. You have chapters that are low in numbers and they're 5 with 5 officers. To what? What the hell do you need all these officers for? Grow, get out there, have fun, get to know your bros, man. And that's another one. You have guys in chapters that don't know anyone in their own chapters. They don't spend time with them. They don't get to know them. But you also have chapters who tell you, get to know your bros, the hell with everyone else. No, get the fuck out there. Go learn, go go get to know some people, man.
The extremes. You got the two
Yeah,
extremes.
it's one or the other. It's like, oh, go get to know somebody, but don't know too many. You know, it's like, hey, get to know us. Don't be cool with anyone else. Like,
BP, you're on mute again.
you're on mute again, BP.
Damn it, I do that even. When I will let you guys talk, I want to make sure I don't cough over you.
No, you're good.
It's funny because we've talked about this before. I know in other conversations that we've had that there are chapters that well, first and foremost, let's just get into the topic of you will fail miserably from day one if you don't take the chance to get to know your own brothers in your chapter, as you said. And the cool thing about it is you will see, if you give yourself and them the chance, you will see how unique, how cool each individual one of these guys out there is. They may not be just like you. Perfect example. Hey, you know what? I love the quote. It's in the trailer for the film that Mr. Block here, who's in our comments section here, you know, he had one of my absolute favorite quotes of everything I've filmed so far for this film, where he said he learned that there's a lot of guys that are okay like him. They may not all be the same shade, but there's guys just like him that have the same beliefs. And I loved that quote because it's like you don't even take the time to get to know your own brothers in your chapter. What the hell are you doing? Why are you even here? You can go join if it's for charity. You can there's a billion other clubs you can join that do charity work. You know, if you're just there to take space and claim that you're in this thing, why the hell are you here? If you're not even going to get to know and appreciate the brothers that are there. Then not to mention the fact that you can't appreciate other brothers in other cultures, other countries, you know, and appreciate those guys for what they are.
Yeah.
You can't even do it close to home.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Like some of the guys I hear from daily, and I mean daily, are many time zones away. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to discredit anyone that I know close by or in the States and things like that. It's just like when you build these relationships with certain guys, sometimes you really hit it off. Sometimes it takes a beer and a sit down at a meet, and you'll click with somebody. It's like, oh shit, our stories are the same. Our backgrounds are the same. I mean, I've hit it off with guys from places on this damn earth that I never thought I'd have anything in common with. You know, and it blows my mind that I love being able to stay in contact with these guys. And stateside too, you know, definitely stateside. Again, it's just what I'm saying is the reach goes beyond your backyard. It goes beyond your state, your city, and things like that. You should definitely want to reach out. And at the very least, use this as a networking situation, as a networking possibility. I love knowing that I get to say, I know someone that knows everything about something somewhere. I can reach out to anyone. Hell, I've had my bro Magnus from Sweden have a video call with my oldest, Kai, about gaming. And he works for Ubisoft out there, you know, and he was on a video call with my oldest, and he got into he wanted to talk to him about like, you know, content creation, gaming, streaming, and things like that. They had a whole hour, and I just sat there. And I love that my boy from Sweden, 6 hours away, 7 hours in the time, took time out to speak to my oldest son. I love that my sons know that they have bearded uncles all over the world. You know, I love that. I love that. And that to me is like, you should get to know every person you can. You should get to know every bro and travel. Please get out there. Most of these meets are a year out in advance. I understand you've never left your city, you've never left your state, you only go to like the popular meets and things like that. Sometimes just go take a random ass trip. Plan for next year. Plan for what's today? What's this? March 8th, 9th, whatever the hell. Yeah. Plan for next March. If you don't do shit all year, plan for next March. Go somewhere. Most of the places that we've gone to didn't require a meet. We just landed in a city in a country that guys were from, and it was like, hey, show us around, let's hang out.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a sad thing that so many guys, and every chapter has them. There are so many guys that are in chapters that are bearded villains that They don't even, much less knowing the guys in their own chapter, but they're never going to leave to go even somewhere else in their state. And I don't know what that is. Maybe it's an anxiety thing. Maybe it's they don't, deem themselves as people person. But I've seen guys that are introverts grow immensely
Yeah.
in this brotherhood where
Facts.
they go someplace to a meet. They're not the most comfortable person around with, but they go and they start to talk and they find out, dude, this dude's a freaking introvert just like me. He hates big crowds. He doesn't feel comfortable about, being in weird situations like this either. And next thing you know, you realize now you're going to talk to this guy weekly,
Yeah.
your life. Just give yourself the chance to get out there.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta get to know some guys, man. And like you said, I've seen guys come out of their show. We've had many guys who were shy as hell, didn't come from, they're not super communicative, they're not revealing of their issues, their problem, their mental state, things like that. It's just like, man, I've not been this comfortable around a group of guys in so long. I was just a shut-in. And like I definitely advocate men's mental health, like on a regular. I'm constantly saying, let that shit out. It's okay to not be okay. Society tells us that we're supposed to be tough and strong and shit like that. If we expose our emotions, we're soft and things like that. And it's just like, that's why, the highest rate of everything for men. It's just, God, I'm not even gonna touch that subject. I've been on every side of that topic. But it's just like, I've seen guys come out of their shell, and I love it. I love seeing guys become comfortable, expressing themselves. What I say is the issue is you also have guys who make this their world. I love knowing that I can separate BV from my personal life.
Mm-hmm.
BV comes, God damn, many places after first and second in my life. I love my life. My biggest flex to this day as a man is me being able to say I love me. I'm 38. I'll be 39 this year, and it took a long damn time for me to love myself. And I love that BV helped me get there. But I will always love me first. Home is what I focus on. Many other things, and then BV. You have guys who make this, who join this, and it's like, oh, BV's everything. I've seen people lose relationships in BV, go through shit in BV because they made this took precedence over their lives. And that's where they went wrong with it. You can still incorporate this into your life, but don't even make this your top 5. You have a lot more to live for than BV. I promise you.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes that I heard from brother from another chapter within the first probably 6 months, and one of the first chapters that I went outside my chapter to meet up with was up in Chicago, and you hear the the Mendez brothers, and they just when when you hear them talking to their own guys or to you as a new guy, just giving you advice. And one of the first things I remember both of them actually saying, kind of as a unique sentence together, they were just backing each other up, saying, that BV should add to or enhance your life. It should not be your life. And I love that. And I've been telling guys that from day one. It's just, you can make it a big part of your life if you want to, but
no doubt.
Only to that point where it doesn't detract from your life. Mm-hmm. And that becomes a hard thing for some people that, are either all in or all out. If it's that kind of a burden for them, but
you should never bring this home. You should never bring BV problems home. I heard it best from one of my guys, and it's just like, the day this is no longer fun, I'm out. I'm out. Like, this shouldn't be this hard, which is why I stand by what I say when I make my chips and patches and all this shit. Show up, show love, give back. Don't be a piece of shit. Like, it's that simple.
It's like it belongs on a coin or something.
Yeah, like it's really that simple, man. But you have guys who just can't separate this, and not for nothing. Like, We got queens and villainettes who can't do that either. I got to touch on that too. It's not just the guys.
They
it's
like the importance, man. They gravitate, you know, and sometimes I think it's because they're giving us a sense of importance, possibly within the organization that maybe they don't have elsewhere, and that's why they just end up further gravitating more to this. And it's
Yeah.
really easy to, like what you said, is to get sucked into it. I mean,
Oh
I can
yeah.
tell you, man, early on, especially like for me, like first starting out and instantly being put into the leadership role of
Me
what we do
too.
here at Lakeshore and stuff. It's really simple to immerse yourself, and you know what, I think, again, to defend the people that really do get immersed, because I'm guilty of it myself, is that you feel like you're giving so much and it feels so good that you don't really want to you don't want to give that up. You know, it's especially for someone who hasn't really had that, like myself in the past. I had a lot of issues of accepting trust or accepting people for no ulterior motive. It's a really foreign concept before BV. It was a foreign thing to me. I was like, this doesn't exist. Like, this guy's going to gouge me when I turn around because he's gotten what he needs and stuff. And the level of unselfishness that I've been recipient to since joining BV has been something that will mark my life forever, whether I'm with BV or not ever again. To like what you said, Radar, is it's something that's always going to be with me, and that's why I always say, regardless of whether I like certain things about BV that or I don't, I'll always be in debt to BV because of what it first allowed me to have and what allowed me to build off of. But you have to learn how to balance, man. You have to learn to take it and say, okay, I've nourished it. Now, you know, you have to nourish other things that allow you, like my family, my wife, you know, allowing the time necessary for me to dedicate to this and to help others and stuff. It's really nice when you can have someone along your side that, you know, is passionate about it as well, and you can do things in conjunction. I've always liked traveling with my wife and spending time with her, and you know, so it's nice when you can travel and be with that person and have these experiences. I mean, I don't think there's anything more wonderful in the world and spending a wicked time. So for everybody, it could be different. That could be like, it would be amazing if my favorite thing would be like going to the Super Bowl and then having my favorite people around me all at the same time while experiencing that moment. You know, like for example, like for me, that's not what it is, but I'm just saying it's a lot. This particular thing has allowed me a lot of those things, and the travel. We love to travel and meet great people. Man, I'm telling you, it's the fact that there are so many giving people that really do. I mean, I know that we started really in a negative format, maybe in a sense of the way that we were coming down on certain things. Doesn't mean that all of BV is like that. I mean, for the most part, I you know, Radar said it. You know, they're having somebody from Sweden connect with your child, or or having, you know, I don't know about anybody else, but I don't have a close affinity to my biological family, right? My blood family, and we always say that, you know, beef is thicker than blood, and it's the family that you make, you choose.
Thanks.
I remember one time one of my sisters said to me, you know, I hope you never need a kidney one day, because I'm sure you can always go to your BV brothers and get it if you need it. And I remember just thinking and looking at her saying, you know what? I
You're right.
probably could. I probably could. I probably could. And trust me, you won't be my first call.
You may have been
Yeah.
plan, but you know, you're right.
Yeah. You know, and it's like I said earlier, man, you know, at the very least, granted, this brotherhood, this fraternity, this group, this club, this everything. If you don't take anything out of it, at least, you know, because we have guys who use this for like networking opportunities. We have guys who use this for promotional sales of things and products and blah blah blah.
Podcasts.
Yeah. But you know,
The
like
podcast came second.
Yeah. But you should definitely want to learn something from everyone you interact with in this. And I do. I pick people's brains all the damn time, man. All the time. And I love knowing, like I said earlier, I love knowing that I know someone anywhere around the world that knows everything about something. If I needed help with any damn thing, I promise you I could find someone in BV who will give me a damn hand, who will give me a phone call,
Because
video
we have a
call.
chat room for everything.
Yeah, exactly. There's a chat room for everything. And the list continues to grow.
A year ago, I wanted to buy a new barbecue, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just going to type it in one of the chat rooms. Hey, anybody know anything good about a barbecue? Dude, man, it was just like,
Here's a chat. Yeah.
There's a chat.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody know a plumber?
Yeah. But I also get to say that I love, granted, if I picked at everything wrong with BV, I could equate that to work, my friendships, life, school, everything. I could literally critique all that shit. I would hate so much of BV. But to me, it's always been the overall picture. I love that I got to meet great, great friends, brothers, guys who I've visited, I've seen, I've gone to their homes, they've been to my homes. The amount of people that have been in our home blows my mind to this day. You guys have seen the pictures. We've had, God, everything from hopefuls to board members here. We don't care. At the end of the day, you're just our friend. We love having you here. We love hosting you here. We love making you feel comfortable. We bring what BV is about in our home, period. But I'm super thankful for everything that I've gained in BV. Hell, that one over there on the couch twiddling her damn hair, ear hustling, right? I married her. Well, she slid in my DMs though. All right, let's just put that out there.
Here we go.
Yeah. It took for me to take down 50 million pictures of my ex for her to acknowledge me, but whatever. I love that I have great friends. My sons have many bearded uncles that they look up to. They know them by name. It's uncle this, uncle that, uncle that. I love it. My sons have been to events. My sons have also helped with things, charities, we've done clothing drives. We've fed the homeless together. I love that my sons look forward to these things because these are things that help us grow. We love and we're just genuine about who we are and where we stand in this. I'm super grateful for BV as an overall idea. The picture and everything. I've gained so much out of this that it outshines the negative bullshit in BV. Always. Hands down.
I think you were talking about quotes that you liked, and I remember an early interview you did way back when, one of my favorites with Hick.
Mm.
And there was a lot in that interview that really hit hard and hit harder even after. But it was one part where he said, if only the world could take 5% of how we do things, the world would be a better place.
Facts.
And it was just one of those things where you're like, man. And I think that's why, I'll say this to Radar. I think that's why we tend to focus on the bad, because it's like we have this. You remember like in the movie The Beach with Leo DiCaprio, everybody got so defensive and stuff because you have this perfect utopia. And we like to think that BV is a level of utopia of we have this really cool thing going on, guys. And when we see someone who's like straying outside of that and not doing thing and not following rules or doing what we all agreed upon to do, is when we were like, dude, why do you gotta be an asshole about this? Why do you guys why can't you just enjoy it the way that we try to enjoy it? Maybe not the exact same way, but you don't have to come here and fuck it up for everybody else. If you don't want to do that, you're free to go. No one's just holding you here.
Yeah.
There's no
I didn't come to your
danger.
door. Yeah, I didn't come to your door and drag you into this, man. Like,
well, yeah. And one of the things like I said, it kind of goes back to, and I feel like I say this a lot, but there's so many different ways of being, is that BV and anybody that's been in the beginning can attest to this, but I think anybody that's even been in for the last year could also attest to it, is that BV is a living, breathing thing. It is not a stagnant thing that just exists. And places that's the case, it falls apart and it just gets destroyed. And if we're not willing to adapt and change with it, then we're just dooming to fail for the future. And so it's so important for us to learn from these things. And that's why these conversations, I think, are so important for us to have, because we have to address the stuff that's causing problems and have the adult conversations and be able to say, this may have been just fine 8 years ago, but it's evolved and it's a different thing than it was back then. And we need to appreciate that and, be able to celebrate all the different little pieces that it is, because every single chapter is different. The men in every single chapter is different, even to the point. And this is one of the other things that I wanted to mention, was that because you Radar, being that you've traveled so much, and Marz, being that you actually live in a different country than the two of us do full time, but you've also traveled a bunch. One of the things that I've seen, and it's a tangible thing, and I've only traveled once up to Canada. Now later this year, I hope to go somewhere else. But in my conversations with brothers from all over the world over the last 3 years, there's an actual difference, I think, too, in the way that brothers in different parts of the world look at BV, because it's different for everybody. For some guys here in the States, it means one thing. For other guys over in the UK, it means one thing primarily. And the thing that's most important here in the States is 10th down the line. The things that are most important in Australia don't mean a thing here, or vice versa. Down in South America, different things altogether. And so we have to appreciate that, not condemn the guys for that, and recognize you may not be in it for the same reasons I'm in it. But that comes down to the personality of the person itself, the personality of the individual chapter. And those are the things that we have to celebrate.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Oh, no.
Diversity,
I agree.
Diversity and difference is not what makes you. It doesn't weaken. It strengthens. Because if anything, if you have the power to say, listen, I don't particularly like Radar will go off about something, and I may not. Well, saying you do sometimes, but I'm just saying because you're next to me right now. Technically speaking, you're on this side. So, but I'm just saying that you don't have. See, this is the thing: is we all have choice. It's funny how when people do things, I really don't like the line chat room, because you get a lot of these keyboard warriors that get all brave in there and say things, and then it's funny because when you meet them face to face, so you have people that do become those there, and then when face to face, they're a different person all of a sudden. I don't really like the jive with that, but if I've learned anything is you got to give people a chance. You got to give people a chance to really show themselves to you. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. No harm, no foul. You gave that person an opportunity, or they gave you an opportunity in some cases, because again, not everybody likes me. My personality doesn't jive with everybody.
Yeah, right.
And I'll always say this. I always want to be able to meet you at least once, not to change your mind, but just for you to get to know who I am. And if you don't like the person that I am, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But at least judge me on what you know, not what you've heard, not what you think you know. Give that person the opportunity. And there's so many of us, man. I looked at this. I look at what you just said, Radar, about being able to travel and stuff, and the fact that I remember when I first left Canada and moved to South America, my first thought after a few months was, oh my God, there was so much of Canada I never visited, I never saw. And it's really when it hits you is when you leave it that you're like, I wish I had seen more. I wish I had experienced more. And so you don't want to live with those. You don't want to live with those what ifs. You know, you want to
Oh
get
yeah,
out to you.
no doubt.
You're a doer, Radar. I mean, you're someone who goes out and does. BP, you already know that you are. You know, you've taken the reins and you do things that others have only said, hey, I'd like to do this one day. You know, so we live vicariously through certain people in certain times. Not all of us can travel all the time. You know, we always hope that the video chats or even these podcasts help in that sense. You know, that we can communicate with each other a bit, even if for a brief moment. You know, it's a moment, it's a glimpse. You know, but it's nice, man. It's nice to know that we have it. You know, other people don't even have this.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that too, because you also have like you have the guys that root for us, like we do, right? The three of us right now, we root for each other wholeheartedly, unconditionally. We talk to each other daily, whenever we can. We throw ideas at each other. We've had a conversation before this, right? But then you have guys. I don't care. You've guys who do the whole fucking. I'm sorry. It's like I can curse, right? Yeah. I curse.
Oh,
Fucking.
you
A
already
little
have.
late now to be asking that one.
I know. I don't hear it because I come from that,
No.
knife hand shit.
Don't
But it's just like Nikki and I have dealt. I got to. We've dealt with the whole must be nice shit all the time.
Oh my
And I
God.
promise you, it rubs us so wrong because no one gets to see us exhausted the Friday or the Saturday. We're at some. Who cares what me? We have burnt ourselves out. You have pocket watching, time watching, money clocking, brothers and sisters. I gotta throw that shit out there. Who go, oh, must be nice. And it was like, but we knew this meet was coming last year. I'm sorry, but you can actually put $20 away a day or a week to get here. We know what we're doing next year, this year. And come next year, we'll know what we're doing the following year. We don't just up and wipe our ass with a card and go, yeah, let's put it on some shit. You know what I mean? Like we have to plan. I co-parent. We have 2 dogs and 2 cats. We have a lot to work around. We have to pay someone to stay at our house when we're away. I promise you, there's so much work. But to hear that must be nice shit, bro. It just like it drives us crazy because like no one sees the
You
work.
embody and embrace the word sacrifice, and that
Yes,
person
sacrifice.
that says must be, the other person who says must be nice doesn't know the first thing about it.
It's like, oh, you just heard about this meet this week and now you're trying to swing it? No, we heard about it last year. We planned for this. And what a lot of people don't understand is you can actually book now and pay later for many of these meets. But no. People think that $300-$400 for a meet, it just comes out of nowhere. No, you can plan for these things, man.
Well, what they mean to say is they're not finishing that sentence when they say it must be nice.
Must be nice.
It must be nice. The fact that you're doing what I can't do.
But you can.
No, that's the thing. But that's the thing. People don't see it in the planning stages. They don't know the things that you have to sacrifice in order to make it happen.
No.
They don't see
I'm on the phone with my son's mom like, hey, 6 months now I might be somewhere. Are you okay with watching the boys? Like, they don't see that.
No. They don't see the choices that you've made weekly to make it a financial, so it's not a financial burden, so you can plan to save to go to this thing that you're planning a year out. It means that you're not going to have, a week's worth of fast food. It means you're not going to.
Yeah, you sacrifice something. We have a budget. We know what we're going to spend there. We know what we're not going to buy there. There's so much in this, but we get to hear that passive aggressive love hate shit that we talked about earlier, right? Must be nice.
What's going on in someone else's life. And to sit there and
that's like the ones that like they tell you what they think and then they end it with a LOL at the end.
LOL. I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
No disrespect, man, but you suck.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you can do this. I promise you. Like I said, I was doing this before Nikki. Nikki was doing this before me. We've only been together going on 4 years. We've both been in this 5, almost going on 5, right? Yeah. We both came in 2018. But it's like, we didn't need each other to do this. I was already traveling. She was already traveling. Planning is a big key in this. You kind of just got to know what you want to go to, what you can shoot for, and what you can afford to plan to do. But that must be nice shit from random. Oh my
don't
God.
say that to people. Do not say that to people. Period.
It's just, no, it's not cool, man. It's not cool. You have no idea what people go through. And I mean, not just us. We've seen people slave away at work to make a random ass meet. And it's their one getaway from life. Why would you give them shit for that?
Right.
You know?
Just because
like, let them enjoy themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. It drives me crazy too. And it comes back, part of it, I think it all falls back to this one thing that I know you've said, the two of you have said before too, and I've harped on it as well, is that you have to want to be a part of this and want to do it. If you aren't going to want to do it, where is your want? What is, if you don't want to do this, then hypercritical of somebody else who wants maybe just it a little bit more than you do, obviously, because they're doing what's necessary to do the things that you're afraid to do or you're unwilling to do.
Yeah,
and that negativity is terrible. It's terrible.
I'm just reading the comments right now. All this shit, I got Lino, Black, Rob, Alma. You guys are watching?
Oh yeah, we're in here. Yeah.
I love y'all too. I'm trying to keep up with it on my iPad.
This must be nice, also known as "Please Slap My Face."
Please slap my face. Yeah.
Man. Well, guys, this has been awesome. I don't know what else. If you guys want to mention on anything else, I will just say next week we're going to have another very outspoken, heart-to-heart conversation with a brother. From
I think we touched on everything. I was scrolling through our chat earlier. I think we touched.
Everything. We're going to be talking as a follow-up with a brother from Miami who's been very outspoken about some things, but I think we're going to be taking his words in a very positive way to help us push the idea of what we can do as brothers, as chapters, to move forward and be a more positive influence, not only for ourselves, but our communities as well. So I hope everyone will come back and join with that.
I do have one question, right? Because like we were talking about like where we came from, our roots earlier on, all this. What was the first chapter you guys had your first interaction with outside of your own? I know BP, you came from Indiana, but like excluding Indiana, who was your like go-to initial chapter that you met for the first time outside of your own? Yeah, I mean, all of us.
Mine was. I'm fairly confident it was Chicago.
Chicago?
Yeah.
Marz?
Well, I mean, physically, I guess it would have been. Man, I have to think about that. We did a few things, but I think my first interaction, it wasn't actually physical. It was like video. Was actually a video chat with the South American guys, the Latinos. They used to do a video chat on Saturdays, which actually last Saturday we did one as well. That was my first interaction with like others outside of Canada.
But I mean, like meeting.
On a meeting, well, it would have been Bucko, but then the first international thing was Worlds in
LA?
Chicago.
Oh,
no, Chicago. Yeah, look, you got to remember, man. I'm a 2020, so. But I'll say this. That the whole chapter, everybody was fantastic to meet. But I'll remember this a lot, and I said this to Optimus. You know, it was really nice that when we approached him and his family, they were sitting when we were taking all the photos with the flags. And I remember one thing that he said. You know, Radar knows this, and I'll say it in Spanish. He said to me, "Estás en tu casa. You're in your home." You know, and it made, and I said to him later on, I said, "You made me feel like I was at home. You made me feel welcome, and I didn't feel like a stranger. You know, like when I remember like you go to places and you just feel like you don't belong, or you're just lost. I didn't feel that way with those guys, man. And it was a great feeling, and it's always been like that in a lot of places to always find someone that you can connect with,
Oh yeah,
even
no
if it's
doubt.
for a brief moment. It's always a great thing. But you're right. The meets themselves, the people that you meet, the experiences of meeting people for the first time physically, there's nothing like it. It's so unique. That's why when I came back with Dan, we told our guys, you guys got to get out to meets like now. You guys, I don't care, just go and even we told Nima, who's he went to go see his dad and stuff like that. He went to
I want to
Iran.
go
So
out there too. We were
Nima,
talking about that.
go meet. Well, you can't go now. No, it's impossible to go over there
I
now.
know now. I'm
But when
brown
he
enough to
went,
go to Iran.
the Iranian guys, dude, they drove 4 hours to see him. Four
Yeah.
hours they drove to see this guy. And we were like, that's amazing, man. That's what makes this so amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
So
I'm building. This year I'm building. This year I got more meets, going to Miami next month. Going to Belgium later on for Worlds.
I want to. We
Hey, man,
can, but we have so much shit going on this summer.
go see the
But
Upstate Boys, go to Vegas.
to touch on that, so my first so when I first came in, I came in with BVPA, original Pennsylvania, not the Northeast, Southwest / Philly, none of the 5 chapters, right? Maryland originals, MDO mother G, bro. 2 weeks into me being a hopeful, there was a random ass wall in the company wall, the beard product, the clippers on. They had some random ass meat right across the street from my house. 2 weeks into me being a hopeful, and I got to meet all of Maryland at the time before the shit, and I still love them all collectively today. Granted,
Hey,
the thing.
radar. Must be nice.
You know what? I'm not even gonna see you. The next meet we're at together, I'm just gonna walk away from you. All right?
You're gonna walk under.
Keep it moving.
That's going to be
But
one you can't go to this year.
but I will say that Maryland Originals will always have a place in my heart, Nikki's heart. They were definitely one of the first chapters, and I mean, Snoop. I mean, God, Be More, Dio. I mean, everyone that was associated with that chapter at the time when we first got, Shady. God damn, everybody. I can name everybody that was in that chapter at the time. Maryland Originals helped me so much, and I mean tremendously when I moved from PA to Philly and we took on so much. But they were the most influential chapter in my life at the time that helped me do so much in BV, and so much of them resonates with me. I get it. I understand. Whatever. It is what it is. But I have the frame here. But wait. Don't go nowhere. It's still here, baby. We haven't put it. We haven't. It needs to go back on the wall, but for some reason it's still down here.
Okay. We won't.
I love them. I love them. But I always ask who, because, when we first come on, we're expected to know our bros, like we talked about earlier. But who did you get to meet afterwards? Who did you know? Who helped you afterwards? That will always be my go-to chapter, right after my initial chapter. And I always pay homage to BVPA. Hell, I was talking to Adam earlier today. The co-cap, cap, the whole nine. Yeah. I always pay homage to where I came from, but I love knowing that I grew from other chapters.
Yeah.
I learned from so many other chapters, but Maryland will always be my go-to after my first.
Man. Hey, you know what, guys? I think this is an awesome place to leave it for tonight. What do you think? I can't say thanks enough to Marz and to Radar for coming in tonight and taking some time out with us and talking about this. It's these are things that sometimes are uncomfortable for some people to talk about and some people to hear. And I'm grateful for you guys, obviously, that you're willing to that I have two incredible brothers that are willing to speak their mind, but also two guys that have, through experience, not only life experience but also BV experience, that can impart some. I don't know if wisdom is the right word, but
Yeah, I want to say wisdom.
we'll say
He just called
experience.
me old. See how he did that? He did that. It was
I
really.
have to say
It was
experience.
subtle
You
too.
know,
You had to
that's
see. You had to almost see it, but he did it. He called me old
yeah.
without calling me old.
Yeah. That's Papa Marz. That's how I have him saved in my phone. You know, that's
Yeah.
my dad.
Yeah.
You know, past life.
Mi hijo.
Pitufo.
All right, guys. Well, if anything else pops off, obviously, I'm excited because I'm working right now on a plan for me to make it over there across the pond over the.
I can't wait. I want to see all the pictures and videos and all of that.
And,
Do it.
That would be nice.
This is the closest and most real it's ever felt like that it might just happen, and I'm really excited about that. And I'm excited because in the conversation that I've had with the guys, all the podcast conversations with the various guys from over in England, BV is a little different there, and I'm excited to experience that and to see that side of things. So that is very interesting to me. So
I can't wait, bro. Live it up. I promise you.
absolutely.
You'll have a blast.
All right, guys. Well, I can't wait. I don't know when I'm going to see either one of you guys again live in person.
In New York.
Various no.
Are you going to Rochester?
No.
Son of a bitch.
There's like
How do you hang up? How do you hang up?
There's three or four meets. There's 3 or 4 meets that I want to go to this year and I can't. Bucko's
Vegas?
Vegas will be there.
Oh, well, I'll see you then. I'll see you before Bucko.
I'll see you both there. All right, sounds good. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much. I'll go ahead and get ready to close this thing out, but I'll let you guys take off. You can watch the end of it if you want to, or go about your
All right.
and go chilling.
Love
So
you guys, man.
thanks so much.
Thank you
Love you, bros.
All right. Thanks again, guys.
Always.
All right. So that was Radar from the New York, New Jersey, Lucky 13, and Marz from Lakeshore. Guys, thanks so much for being here. If you have anything else that you guys would like to have us here on the show delve into, some of my favorite shows that we have here on the show are these conversations where we take a deep dive into something, maybe some of the taboo topics that isn't really taboo, but the ones that kind of make some people uncomfortable, but they're conversations that need to be had. If we're going to grow this brotherhood into the future the way we should, we have to have these conversations. So if you guys have some other topics, hopefully you feel confident and comfortable enough that you can reach out to me directly, send me a message and say, hey, there's something that's been bothering me, something I've been noticing, something, whatever. Or if you want to send some praise to somebody, if you want to give a big shout out to somebody in the brotherhood who's doing something really cool, obviously send me their info as well. I think that would be awesome. So guys, this has been a little different because we've been on almost an hour and a half tonight, number one, but it's been an awesome hour and a half. We haven't done any calendar of events. We haven't done any merch tonight. We just went straight on topic, and it's been fun for me. And I hope that you guys have gotten something out of it as well. I'm going to go ahead and close this episode 170 out with that. Guys, I want to challenge you, as I always do, to be the villain that the world needs you to be, because the heart of a villain never stops beating. The most important words I say every week, guys, please remember, if you are hurting, please find a brother to talk to. As I always say, remember, it's okay not to be okay. Well, guys, have a great night, a great Friday, a great weekend coming up. Next week, come back, everyone, for a follow-up conversation. Take this whole thing home, talking positivity about what we can do to better ourselves, better our chapters, better our communities, and take some leads and some advice from a chapter that's doing it pretty damn well. Guys, have a great night. Enjoy the week ahead. Take care. Stay safe. From the start to the finish, go hard, and we winning. It's the heart of a